Okay, I think that if I did this right, I am now live streaming. And let me get this closer. Hopefully I can edit this out when the full stream is posted later. I've never done this before, so I don't really know how it works, but it actually doesn't look like very good quality. I wonder if I can change that. Well, I'm not really sure. I guess we'll see how this goes. So if you're tuning into this, which I don't know that anyone will, but if anyone does, or at least looks at it later, I am going to attempt to do a live stream of portrait painting, oil paint on textured paper. And I'm doing this with my phone, and I have an external mic on my shirt, so hopefully it sounds okay as well. But well, let's see. Can I change anything? No. I'm just checking to see if I could change the resolution of the stream. Highlight save to your channel. I don't know what that means. Okay. So I don't know what all the settings are here. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint alla prima, and I'm going to try to do this in under an hour. I don't know how consumable a whole oil painting would be for someone, but we're going to see how this goes. And if by any chance someone does stumble into this, hopefully I will have the ability to answer questions if there are any. Let's see. So I need to bring up the stream though. Bring it up. I want to make sure I can see it on an iPad here. Welcome to live chat. Okay, so now I can see the chat. So if by any chance someone shows up and has a question, I will be able to answer it. So as I lean away, I'm leaning over to the palette, which, here's my palette, it's pretty messy, but as I lean away and mix colors, you should still be able to hear me because I got this, as I said, clipped to my shirt, this little mic. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I like to do a little initial outline of my subject. So I'm going to get a little raw umber, a little ultramarine blue, a little bit of yellow ochre, and a little cad red here, cadmium red. I want to get kind of like a mauvish kind of a brown kind of middle value here. I don't want it to be too noticeable because I'm going to go over it in other colors. But I want to be able to at least kind of see what I'm doing. Now, some people do like a pencil sketch, of course. That's great too. That always works. But I try to do it all in paint. So hopefully me swallowing is not too loud. This is actually the first time I've used this mic as well, so I don't know. A, I don't know if it's even working. I hope it is. But B, I don't know what it sounds like. So hopefully it's okay. But so here's the brush I'm using. So I'm going to just get in here, and it's just kind of a basic portrait here. I don't want to, I'm not getting too crazy because I want it to, I don't want to take too long here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to rough out the angles here of the face. So this is roughly the eye line. Here's the midline of the face. And I'm just kind of trying to get angles. I'm not really worried here about too much else other than what are the planes of the face and what are the angles of what I see here. So just kind of roughing this out. So I'll probably, ooh, sorry about that swallow. So I'll probably mention this multiple times during the stream, but One of the great things about oil paint is that it is very forgiving. So as I'm roughing all these shapes out, I'm not really super worried about messing up, because if I do mess up, it should not be too hard to fix, because oil paint is so friendly. So just kind of getting some facial curves here, and like I know around the eye, I want some darkness here and something here as well. So again, just kind of roughing this stuff out, just getting rough shapes, just some real basics, and then I'll come back in and start laying more down. So just kind of a shape of a head. And I know that we'll have the neck come down like this. Okay. Something like that. Oh, I wonder if you can hear my cat meowing. He is upset. Okay. So we're just getting some rough stuff here. Right, and again, this is just, oh, I don't think I mentioned this. So I mixed a few colors together just to get kind of a middle brown, just something that wouldn't be too noticeable that I could pretty easily paint over. And what I mixed it with is linseed oil. So just to get it nice and thin, something that I can really work with. So something like that. So a little shape of an ear there. Again, full intent here is to come back in and get some more details. I'm just kind of hitting some shadows, and we'll come back here in a little bit. Get kind of some rough stuff going. And we'll see if I can keep this to an hour. I hope I can. It might be possible. I've gotten close. I think my fastest, just basic head and shoulders portrait, I think I got maybe 45 to 50 minutes. You know, not anything too fancy, but just a basic thing. All right, so I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna get some darker stuff going here. I wanna hit some darker spots, and I've just got a little raw umber. Again, this early in the painting, it's not super important to get, you know, really defined features in. Just kind of get some go-bys, some guardrails for yourself to come back. I just want some darker zones here. Okay. All right, so now what I'm doing is I want to come back here and I want to start picking out zones of color. So my brushes are really dirty, unfortunately. I should have cleaned them before I did this, but so I'm gonna mix up some. So I've got this blush color that Gamblin makes, and I'm gonna mix some yellow ochre with it and a little bit of cadmium red. I'm gonna use that as a starting point and kind of start to touch the like middle value. So sort of some areas that are not too bright, not too dark, but kind of starting with middle stuff. So just find little blocks, little areas where you can fill in. Just some stuff that makes sense with what you see. And just kind of piecemeal, like find something that looks right, blotch it in, and then come back to your palette and find something else. So I think that's all of that. I see a lot of I see a lot of red here. I'm gonna mix a little cadmium red now, get kind of a reddish tone here. So again, some yellow ochre, some blush, and some there's some titanium white in the first mix as well. Get some cad red going. I think there's probably some in the nose here as well. That would make sense. So get some red. I see a little red here. That's actually probably a little too dark. So one of the things that I often do, so as I'm kind of trying to hit these little zones of color, sometimes I get a little too excited, a little too overzealous, and I'll plop a color in there that doesn't make sense. In fact, I say sometimes, that's really not true, oftentimes. But if you do, it's really not that big of a deal. Because, as I said at the start, with oil paint, it's really easy to just come back and fix your mistake. So like, you know, I got a little too crazy on that reddish color. And I also kind of, you know, when I was roughing this in, I mentioned that it's not that important to get it perfect. And that's definitely true. Like I made that nose too big, so I'll just kind of chop that off because oil paint is friendly like that and will help me out here. So that looks fine probably. So I'm kind of running to the end of the bigger zones of that are kind of pinkish that I have here. So I'm going to start leaning into that yellow ochre a little bit more. So I'm going to get some yellow ochre, and I'm going to kind of the mix that I was working on this palette. So I've got, again, I hope you can't hear me swallowing like that. Sorry about that. So here's the palette. This is the area where I'm mixing. So I've got the red, I've got the cadmium red here, and I'm kind of touching it off here. And I've got the yellow ochre here, and I'm kind of blending up there. So just to kind of get, give you the lay of the land of what I'm working on here. Now it'd be nice if I could figure out how to have the palette on screen as well. But this is my first time to try a live stream, so that's maybe a little ambitious for first time out. But next time I can certainly, well, if there's a next time, we'll see. But I did actually figure out how to sync record a separate palette and then record the painting and sync them up in iMovie. I did actually figure out how to do that. And it's kind of a big time investment to do that. So I did it like 3 times and then I stopped because it didn't seem worth it. Oh, I forgot to tape this. Usually I use a little masking tape in the corners. As you can, well, you can't see. I've got a bunch of masking tape up here up top. So usually I tape that up so it doesn't move too much while I'm painting. So we're just kind of getting in here, getting some color. So I have a few brushes that I work with. So these are Utrecht size 6 bright brushes, and I have also some smaller. Let's see, what size are these? Size 2 round brushes. So those are really the only 2 that I use. I have a few of them. So I've actually got 4 of these, and that one's actually slightly bigger. But that way I can have a couple of brushes for lighter colors that are more mixed with titanium white, and a couple that are mixed with darker colors, just to kind of keep my sanity, because cleaning brushes is kind of a pain. So Here I'll be doing something similar. I'll be using the same type of brush, but I'll switch out when it gets to, or when I switch to a darker color. So, all right, so now I'm just kind of blending in some titanium white. So another thing I hope doesn't happen on this stream, another way I didn't prepare. So the microphone that I'm using attaches to the USB port on my phone. So I really hope my phone doesn't die. I put it into battery saving mode. I think if I keep this to an hour, it should be okay, but that's an unknown. We'll see if it actually works that way in practice. So again, just trying to hit up zones of color. And I am certainly making a fair amount of mistakes along the way, but you know, you can always come back and clean up. So not the end of the world at all. So I need actually to get a little lighter on some of these. One of my problems, I think, or I've got a lot of problems, but one of my big painting problems is I don't have a great eye for color still. I've been painting for almost 2 years now, and I still struggle a little bit with identifying what I need and how to achieve it. And I think that probably this is the big advantage that you have when you take art classes, which I haven't done but need to. I think one of those big advantages to having that formal instruction is that perhaps you have a little better training of finding colors and identifying what you need. You know, as I said, I need to go lighter here, but I'm struggling to get the right mix on that. So another thing I'm noticing is I said it wasn't that important, but I definitely made some mistakes here in terms of just angles and looks. It's a little better. Okay, I think it's probably a good idea to now start coming in with some lighter. No, there's a little more here we can do. Let's get a little more titanium white into that mix that I showed you earlier. And we'll just do this. So a little more titanium white. And we need to come in with some darks, but first let's at least finish some of these lighter colors. So like that. Okay, yeah, like that. There we go. Okay, so light and light and more light. Okay, that's not bad. And I think this probably should be, let's get a little lighter. So this is, you see, because I'm coloring over this, you see how it's important not to use too dark of a outline, like with that thin down paint that I was talking about at the beginning, how it's important not to use something too dark. I did a painting yesterday, actually, that this initial layer was very dark. I used too much ultramarine blue and too much umber, and it ended up being almost purplish, and it was very dark. And when I was coming back over it, it was a dark painting to begin with, but when I was trying to come back over with light, I really struggled because like you can keep going over this and you can keep adding white to this, but it's going to, yeah, it's going to be hard. The more dark you have here in the first place, it's going to be hard to get over it. So, okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to mix up I want some dark colors, some colors with a little blue that I can lean on. So I'm going to mix some, actually first let me get a little yellow ochre and a little blush and a little tiny bit of cad red and some ultramarine blue. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. That's going to make green. See what I mean about mixing colors? That was definitely a rookie mistake. We don't want green in the skin. That would be pretty weird. So blue and yellow, not a good idea. So this is why it helps too to have several brushes. I can have one that leans on yellow ochre and cadmium red for kind of some skin tones that are some darker skin tones with some umber. And then I can have another one that has umber, blue, and red. And let's start with the blue and red one. I think that'll be a good place to go. So I'm going to do some burnt umber here. No, we'll do some raw umber. So burnt umber has a little bit more of a like reddish brown, a brighter brown color to it. Looks pretty nice, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to get a bluish, a little bluish brownish kind of color going here. So where do we want to put this? So we're going to put this a little bit here, kind of like that. And one of the things that I've been practicing as well here, which, you know, to varying degrees of success, but trying to worry less about discrete lines. And that has taken some time to adjust to, because for years prior to attempting to paint or trying to learn to paint, I was a big fan of pencil drawing. So I would do sketches with graphite pencil and with colored pencil. And obviously it's all about lines with that. So getting used to painting and trying to think of it in terms of blocks and little areas rather than discrete lines has been different. Obviously there are of course lines in nature and all that, but trying to get away from that a little bit has been different. Okay, so I'm trying to get a little, I'm away from the page now, but I'm trying to blend here. I want something that's a little bit darker, but still kind of bluish. There we go, that's pretty good. So I went with a little cadmium red to get something that's that would pop out a little bit more on the brush and on the page. So I've got this ultramarine blue and some umber and some cad red. Just trying to get something that pops a little bit more. There, that's pretty good. Okay, this still needs to look a little blue though. I don't want it to be totally red. That's a little too dark, so that's not exactly what I wanted to do. But that's all right. We can come back to it. Since it's a little red, I'll come over here and make use of what I have. It's nice to be able to jump around sometimes. So let's get a little of this here. Yeah, okay, so that's probably all I can do there. So I do want to go a little more blue. A little more blue here. It's maybe a little too dark, but we'll see what it looks like. I can touch it up later if it doesn't work. Okay, not bad. A little blue here. And just trying to touch some cooler areas, some areas of shadow that should be cooler. But, you know, if I get too dark, which I definitely think I have in some areas, if I get too dark, I can always come back. So this is an area that I actually want to lean on some yellow ochre here in a second. So, you know, I mentioned getting a little bit more, or using two brushes. This is where that's going to be important because I want to, oops, no, that's not great, but That's okay. All right, so, and this is actually a little purplish, so maybe I might need another mix for that. Okay, so I'm going to switch brushes. I'm still dark, but I'm going to be dark. Well, let me make sure I got all the blue off this other brush. I'm going to go dark, and so I'm going to go raw umber. Oops, too much. Okay, that's too dark. I want to go raw umber with a little bit of that yellow. That looks kind of gross, actually. Well, it looks gross on the palette. Let's see what it looks like on the paper. Yep, it looks pretty gross. That's all right. Where would this gross color be? Maybe here. Where else would the gross color be? Maybe here. Finding what to do with a color that looks kind of like baby food. All right, let's mix this. We're gonna get a little lighter with it, but I'm gonna go to the red, get a little red, a little more yellow ochre. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, a little better, maybe. Oh my gosh, that is pretty dark. Okay. So it's kind of next to this bluish color that I was using before, and I don't know how that's going to end up. Seems okay, but I don't know. So one struggle that I do have is I cover up this. Sometimes I forget to cover up this part, this the kind of loose stuff that I started with, the linseed oil thins down part. It's always a shame when I forget to do that because I notice afterwards because it looks different than the rest. Because the consistency is just noticeable that it's different. So when I forget that, I'm always like, oh, geez. But since I paint alla prima, the using wet on wet, it should all be in one session. So if I've waited too long and my painting is dry, there's really not a whole lot that I can do about that at that point. So, okay, so it's pretty kind of dark. All right. So the yellowish, we'll just hit that here. I have to be very cautious though. You know, I mentioned the blue and the yellow. I don't want to create any green on the subject. Very rarely are you going to see green on a person unless there's a light that's reflecting onto them or something. Okay, so that's not a bad starting point. Okay, can mix that up. Okay, what do I need to do now? So now, I definitely have some darkness. Now I guess I need to, okay, I'm going to switch to the smaller brush now, I think. So I've been using these bigger brushes, wider brushes. Now I'm going to switch to smaller round brushes because I want to come in and I want to start to add some detail. I said I was going to keep this to an hour if I can, so I need to move on and try to get some detail here. So if you had no time constraints though and you weren't trying to hurry, probably the best thing to do at this stage in the painting is to just keep on trying to find individual blocks or zones of color and just keep trying to hit those up. keep trying to find where there's a little shape here, a little shape of this darker color, or a little shape of this lighter color. And keep trying to match them and just work big to small, I think is the big thing. You know, I should mention that I'm not any kind of authority on anything related to painting. I'm an amateur, so a lot of this is learned by doing, or some of it is frankly learned by watching other people on YouTube, watching more experienced artists paint and try to learn from that. That's been the biggest thing for me, I would say, is just trying to watch other people and see how they do it and see if I can kind of mimic, you know, I think mimicking style is obviously very difficult, especially if you're just starting out. But, you know, I certainly have tried to mimic people's approaches, like thinking about starting big to small and trying to find little blocks and zones of color. That is certainly not an original idea. That's something that I have seen other people do. So I tried to do that too. And it seemed like a good way to learn. So really all I'm doing, my head's not in the way. I'm not sure if it is or not. Let's see, I'm looking down. There's my nose. I just saw my nose in the stream. That's all right. Okay, so what I'm doing now, this is ultramarine blue mixed with raw umber. And basically all I've done here is I've made a black, or at least kind of a near black sort of color. And I'm trying to get the darkest parts of the painting in place. And this is not necessarily where I would normally do this, but if I'm trying to move fast and get the painting done in an hour-ish, this is probably a good idea to start getting some of these more discreet, like little pieces done. So now this is probably too dark. That's probably a little too dark, but that's okay. So, and I'm also going to use this dark color. Again, I'm also going to use this dark color on the eyebrows. It's very heavy on the raw umber. But, you know, again, if you're taking your time, you don't necessarily have to dive right into this. I think a good thing to do is to just sort of let the pieces of the portrait come together organically. You know, just start big to small, start building things up and constructing the painting, and just let what shows up show up. A lot of times these kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool how they just spring to life sometimes as you're doing them. You can just be building and building and building, piecing it up, and then suddenly, oh, there's a person forming out of this. It's kind of fun. So, okay, so I've got that kind of blackish color that I built there. I'm also going to do a brown, or not a brown, I'm sorry, a gray. And I'm going to use the gray for the eyes. So I'm going to use raw umber again, ultramarine blue. I'm going to use a little more ultramarine blue this time, because I want it to be almost a bluish gray, not quite a slate gray, definitely still gray, but, and I want it to be a little darker. So I do not have the magic recipe for eyes, but it's something that I've been trying to get better on, and I feel like sometimes a decent thing to do, like there's not really much actual white in these eyes, but to kind of start with a dark gray and find the kind of darker parts of the eye. Wow, and you know, really, I think I need more blue. I see more blue here. And it's, I find some of the eye stuff to be a little counterintuitive because I always want to just do, yeah, that's pretty blue, but that is what we're going to do. So we're going to see if this works. So kind of start with the darker gray and then add a little more white. Maybe I'll do a little more blue too. Really getting crazy on this blue. A little more white, but it still needs to be gray. I don't want to go all the way white on these. Something like that. And we still need to get the color. I don't know. Is it called the iris? I don't even know what the names of all the, whatever the colored part that's green or blue or brown or whatever. We need to still do that, but I'm doing the quote unquote whites of the eyes first, which are bluish gray. Again, I hope my head's not in the way. I don't think it is. My nose might be in frame, but that's fine. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, that's pretty solid. I'll take it. What color are these eyes going to be? Maybe they'll be brown or something. Let's see. Okay, so what do I need to do? So I'm going to rinse this gray off because I think we're probably done with the gray. Rinse this off. And I want to go back to the black because I'm going to drop a little, the little kind of white shine of the eye. I'm not going to leave that in there. I'm just going to drop it in at the end. I'm going to darken this whole thing up just like that. So another interesting thing about eyes is that it's actually okay if the top of this, if the top of the colored part of the eye is black, because there should be some kind of some shadow that hits that part. So really the colored part of the eye is just going to be the middle and bottom for the most part, at least in this viewpoint and this kind of pose. That's what it's going to look like. At least for this one, it's going to look like that. So, all right, so I want a little, I guess I'm going to make some, I don't want it to be red though, that's the thing. Brown eyes, but I was going to use some burnt sienna. I have some sienna on my palette. I was gonna throw that on there, but I'm actually not going to now. Let me see what this looks like. That's too dark. So we'll hit this with some white. All right, well I guess that's fine. Okay, we'll go with that. That'll work. It's good enough. Hopefully that works. I think that's fine. Okay, so there's our eyes. That's not bad. All right, so what do we want to do now? It's kind of bothering me that that ear is just sitting there all by itself. So let's get some, we need some more dark colors, but get some of this here. Okay. And what else do we need to do? Let's get some red on there. that red? Oh, there's our baby food colored brush that is kind of gross looking now. So we'll go here, pick up some dark red. Here's our pretty red. Oh, I have the hiccups now. Uh-oh, that's probably not good for a stream. Okay, well that's too red. Anything I can do with this red? Okay, take this off. Okay, let me go back to this baby food colored yellow ochre monstrosity that I have. Yeah, let's get a little burnt umber for it too. See if we can make that a little darker. I definitely went too red on that one. Oops. Oh, this lady's got a strange looking ear now. But that's all right. I think she'll be fine. Maybe we'll make her hair cover that up because that looks pretty weird. Okay. So we need some more dark areas. Let me pick up some dark. Yeah, that's good. That's a nice dark. I feel like there should be some kind of shape here to the eye, because right now there's not. And we really need to build up the eyelid too. I don't know if we're gonna have time though. We will try. I'm just trying to find some more dark colors to make use of, or areas that should have dark color, since I'm holding the brush right now. Trying to be efficient. That is definitely should be dark there. Okay. What else are we doing? Any more dark? Should be dark probably right there. Okay, that's not bad. You know, we need to work on this nose though. And we also need some purple. Do I have time to mix that? So I'm gonna go back to this dark brush that we were working on the eyes with. This little round brush. I'm gonna go back to it and I'm gonna pick up some alizarin crimson, which is more of a kind of a deeper red rather than the bright cadmium red. I'm gonna pick up that alizarin crimson and get some ultramarine blue, get a nice purple going. So this is a really cool looking purple. Let me bring the palette over here. See if I can not make a mess. So it's this little area here. That's alizarin crimson, that's the purple, that's the ultramarine blue. So mix, ooh, look at that, made a mess. That's what I get for trying to hold it like that. I put my hand right in the cadmium yellow. That's all right. We can figure that out later. So, all right, so I wanted a little purple, but it should be very subtle. So I need to kind of bring it down, and I'll do that with this blush and some titanium white. Bring it down, not make it quite so vivid. I think this is going to end up being a little too vivid anyways. We'll see. So how's that? That's purple. It's definitely purple. It's maybe not even dark enough. It's okay, but so when I lay it down on the paper, it looks very vivid, but when I look back through the camera, it actually looks okay. Not too bad. So we're going to roll with it. I'm going to apply a little more. I know it should be here. So I'm going to apply a little more here. And I think it's playing well with this part of it because there are some shadows over here that I neglected. And I think that adding this purple kind of makes it look fine. But too much of a good thing. Oh, you know what? We can add a little here. I see a little, maybe. A little opportunity. We need to work on the lips a little bit. Do I see any more? I do not. Okay, so we're going to be done with the purple now. I'm actually going to rinse this brush. I'm rinsing my brush in vegetable oil, just regular vegetable oil for cooking, and then water. And I have one of these like things on Amazon, a little brush rinsing bin. It was like $10. And I just kind of, when they get too gunked out, I'll try to keep them clean for a while, and then when they get too gunked out, since they're so cheap, I just buy a new one, because once they've built up too much stuff on them, it's kind of gross. So, okay, so what's next? So we need to work on the nose, I see, and we need to work on the mouth. So I'm going to go back to my, actually first, let me not leave this brush. I want to hit up some more red. So I want a little, not too bright, I want kind of a middle red. So I'm going to catch some cadmium red and some blush and a little burnt umber, which I'm almost out of on this palette, so that's kind of a shame. I might need to apply some more on here, because if we're going to get to the hair, we're going to need it. So, okay, so I want to come back here, kind of give this some definition. And this is too dark maybe still for some of what I want to do. But I want to make this not black. There we go. Not bad. Okay. That's not bad. And now that I have this color, some of the darker part of the lip here. Oops, I messed that up. I have to come back. Yeah, I think I messed that up. Okay. So what I did is I kind of compromised. I was a little too reckless, and I compromised some of my really dark part of the lip that was actually working pretty well for me. I kind of liked. So I'm going to come back in here with some raw umber and reestablish some of the dark part here, because I don't want to lose all of that. We do need to lighten it up, but that's fine. Okay, so what did I want to do next? I wanted to get a little lighter, so let's get a little lighter. Yep, a little lighter. And let's get a little lighter right here. Okay, that's not bad. Okay. I have gotten too dark here, I think. Yeah, I think I have. Okay. Yeah, so around the nose here, and certainly right here, I have gotten too dark. So I need to reestablish some lighter colors. So I'm going to keep with the small brushes at this point. And I'm going to go, oops, oh boy. I just ran a dirty brush right through my palette in my lighter areas, which is not ideal. Kind of muddies things for me, but that's all right. We can recover. All right, so here, this is a little lighter, but not by much, boy. I want to blend this up though. It's a little too crazy. Let's blend it up. Okay, let's go back now. Get some. That is a shame that I drug that dirty brush through my light area. I won't be able to recover from that until I scrape this paint off the palette. Which, by the way, you saw how dirty the palette was when I held it up, maybe. I either need to invest in a new palette, which is another thing, like the paint rinsing bin that is relatively cheap on Amazon, but I probably just need to get a new one. Okay, so brush technique is a difficult thing sometimes, and I don't have the best brush technique. I'm trying to lightly dust the brush here because I don't want a big, dramatic, and I've already failed at that, but I don't want a big, discrete line where I'm separating these colors. But I kind of already made one, so I didn't do a great job at that. But so I'm just still trying to do that. I'm trying to dust, lightly brush, get this blended a little bit so it's not too stark. But to some extent, I have failed at that. So now a lot of the nose color you see here is still actually that original underpainting. And it looks actually okay to me right now, but probably when I'm done, I'll look at it, as I said, and not be super wild about that. I like to go over all of the underpainting because I want that thinned down paint to be kind of gone. I want it to be replaced. So I'm trying to get a little lighter here because I feel like this should not be as dramatically dark because we're trying to, oops, we're definitely trying to simulate 3 dimensions here. So we want some subtlety, but we want definitely some color value differences. And I think we're getting there. We're definitely making some progress, but another thing I want to avoid doing, which, I don't know if this is laziness or what, but I really want to avoid just going pure titanium white because there shouldn't be a whole lot of places, unless this is a very dramatic lighting situation, I really shouldn't have many places that are just titanium white. So right now I want a bright color. I want some real light here, but I don't want to just use titanium white. So this is a blend with just very little yellow ochre and some titanium white, or not some, a lot of titanium white. Okay, that's not bad. Not a bad nose. Okay, I've certainly done worse noses, so that's not bad. So let's go in here and get some of this going. Okay, some more there. So I need to be a little more aggressive with some of these bright. And one of the things that I like the best, so that was a pretty confident brush stroke, and I really pressed down there and just left my mark. That is something that I want to work on and need to work on. Confidence, not hesitation, just getting in there with the brush. The problem is I make so many mistakes still as a newer artist that I just don't have that confidence to really push down and just be be bold with those brush strokes, because I think that makes paintings look better when you are confident and you just go for it. You can, when you're appreciating and looking at other people's art, I feel like you can see those confident brush strokes. They're apparent. You can tell when an artist is comfortable with what they're doing, and it's nice. One of the artists whose videos I watched a lot was Alpe Effie. He does a lot of these like artist perspective things where he just kind of talks about his thoughts about art and creating art and all that stuff. And one of the things that made me gravitate towards his videos are his confident brushstrokes. Like when he is doing stuff, he just does it. Like you know how you see how I'm just kind of dabbing certain areas. He doesn't really do that. He just he puts down a line and it's there, and that's pretty awesome. So hopefully experience kind of brings that to bear. I guess we'll see. I really enjoy painting, so I'm going to keep doing it regardless, but I do hope that additional experience brings me some of that perspective and some of that ability to just throw down color and just go for it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I kind of destroyed some of the shadows under the nose a minute ago, so I'm trying to come in and build those back up. And I think I did. That's good. Could be worse. And there's some blue in here. There we go. That's not bad. Okay. So my eyes are failing me. My color vision is definitely not working as it should right now. Because I keep realizing that I missed these little areas that have blue. So what I have on my brush right now is like a blush and cadmium red and ultramarine blue, and with a little burnt umber. And I'm trying to get in here and catch some of this, some of these like sort of bluer zones that I missed, because apparently there's a lot of them. And there's a bit, look at this, right here. How did I miss that? That's okay. I need some more blue. You know, one of the most fun things that you can do when you paint, I think, this is just my opinion, but I think that going into something and not worrying about it, what it looks like, and just painting wild, like you don't even care if, you know, it looks like your reference or anything. You're just practicing with colors and practicing with color values like lightness and darkness, and you're just getting crazy and just having fun. That's like the best painting, I think. Okay, so I don't know where we're at with this. How long has this been? I actually don't know. I don't know how to tell either. Oh, there it is, an hour. Okay, so again, I don't know if my phone is about to die or anything, so we'll see if I can keep going. But I do want to at least show kind of how I do backgrounds and how I like to blend hair in with backgrounds. So I'm going to keep the background really simple. I'm going to just do kind of a gray background, but there are lots of different approaches to this. So there's no one size fits all. I think the big thing with all of it is to just find something that works for you. But for me, what I really enjoy is I do the face first, obviously, and then I come in and I don't do the hair yet. I kind of get the background in around the hair, and then I finish up the hair. And I do that because I find it fun to see how the colors blend together uh, when you're doing edges like this. I know that's kind of weird, but because a lot of like professional artists, how they approach backgrounds and situations like this is they'll do a background wash first over the whole thing. And they might even take a paper towel and sort of scrub in where the face is going to be. And then they go from there. So background first. And I think that's probably like, you know, if you were to take classes, that's probably what they would teach you to do. But I have found that this is fun to do like this because you do get that kind of fun blending action where you can take these corners, take these edges, and sort of fill in. I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. And then like kind of get around the edges here and play around with sort of some different colors and leave some space uh, for where the hair is going to be and where you know strands of hair will be. But otherwise, just kind of try some different stuff here. So I'm going to do some dark there, and then I'm going to ring it around in gray. Let's see, something maybe like this, kind of a gray. And yeah, this is just kind of what I felt like doing. So I don't know, there's not really any, I mean, there's rules to painting because there's like best practices, but really, I think it comes down to what you want to do. Like, what do you think is fun? Especially if it's a hobby, you know, if you're just doing it for fun. Let's see, maybe like that. So I'm just gonna ring around the subject like this, and I'll maybe go a little, oh, I think I want some hair here. There should be some hair. And I did not block in that hair, but yeah, it'll be like right there. So like this. And then I'm gonna come in and get that hair. But we'll do that after we get a ring around the subject like this. And I'll even, and I'll show you, hopefully, if my phone doesn't die, if the stream doesn't end before I'm ready, I'm going to show you how I like to blend the hair into the background and why I think that's so fun. Okay, so I'm just doing a quick and messy blend here. I think I mentioned already, but this is ultramarine blue and raw umber, and I'm just sort of getting it in there. Ultramarine blue, raw umber, and titanium white to make gray. Okay, something like that. Okay. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edges here. I actually kind of like the unfinished look. It's kind of nice. Okay, so let's get the hair now. So I'm gonna, let's see, how am I gonna do this? All my brushes are dirty now, so I have to clean one off. You know, I've seen artists on Instagram, especially, that I've got the hiccups. Sorry about that. I've seen artists on Instagram, especially, that have a ton of brushes. They've got, you know, like a bucket full of 20 brushes or something. And I At first, when I started painting, I was like, wow, is that overkill? Did they use all those brushes? But eventually I found that, oh yeah, I'm sure they do use all those brushes, because I feel like you can never have enough. Especially situations like this where you just don't want to clean another brush, but you have to because you're out of them. So I have to take a pause because I really need some more burnt umber. So I'm digging through my paint bin right now. I'm sorry. I really need some more burnt umber, and I don't have any left on the palette. No, that's raw umber. I have probably too many partially used tubes. I need to stop buying paint, because when I start to get here's my burnt umber. I found it. So when I start to get like where I'm having to really squeeze it to get the paint out, I just immediately buy another one, just because buying painting supplies is exciting. And then I realize, man, I didn't need that. Why did I buy that? Okay, so here we go. Okay, so actually, you know what I did? I didn't mean to put gray there, so I'm just gonna scrape this off. How's that? Scrape that paint off. All right, so I need some dark here. I need some almost black here. And I'm gonna put some hair there too. So we are going to go black. We're gonna go raw umber and ultramarine blue with nothing else, no white. Let's see how this looks. Yes, that is very, very dark. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay. This is going to be hair. And I don't think we're really going to have time to get into the clothes down here. I think this is probably going to, my phone is probably going to die before that happens, but. Ooh, that turned gray. I think I got some white on it. That's all right. Maybe she's going gray. That's fine. Okay. A little swoop for the hair. So a challenge that I have with hair, and I still have this challenge. I had it when I started painting. I'll probably have it for a long time. It is something I want to work on, though, is trying to stop, it's a similar challenge to what I mentioned before, trying to stop thinking of hair as discrete lines as much. Of course it is, strands are kind of lines, but trying to continue to think of hair as blocks of color also. And they may not be blocks that are squares, they're blocks that are kind of like long shapes, but they're long shapes nonetheless. So I think that really helps, particularly with not a realist style, which, I am very much a fan of Impressionism and Impressionist painters. So I have tried to kind of emulate a stylized look as much as I can. And again, emulating your favorite painters is definitely a good thing, in my opinion, especially when you're starting out, and when you're continuing to learn, like me. Emulating is a great path forward. You find something that you like the looks of, and try to get there. Practice and try to hone your technique relative to that. I think that's a great way to go. But as I was saying about the hair, so discrete little areas of color, that's kind of more along the lines of those impressionists. So rather than trying to paint every strand of hair, you are instead giving the, I guess it's in the name, the impression of where the light hits the hair in certain places, or where certain shapes of hair and clumps of hair and all that stuff, where all that stuff falls. That's kind of what you're trying to do along those lines. Okay. Ooh, just dropped the paintbrush right on my leg. That was funny. Okay, so there's some dark spots. I need to come back in now, and I've thoroughly butchered my example, I think. I wanted to show you how I like to blend it in with the background, but I got too much gray where the hair should be, and it was hard to bring it together. So that's not a very good example, and not very good planning either. So okay, so moving forward with the hair, what do I want to do here? I think I need a little. All right, I get to use this burnt sienna that I mentioned before. Yeah, they're nice and red. I want to get some of those spots in here. Okay. So now what I wanted to do, I wanted this to be close to black, but I got this gray in the middle and I kind of messed myself up. So I don't think I can quite recover that, but you know, that's all right. You can't win them all. So I am gonna betray what I'm doing and I'm gonna come back. I see that I did not really finish the face over here. That is my bad. So a tricky thing too, at least in my opinion, again, sorry about the swallow there. That's right by the microphone, so I don't know how that's going to sound on a stream, but a tricky thing to do, in my opinion, is where okay, let me just not make this too crazy. So where the hair shades the skin, and then also where the hairline touches and where the part is. I find that can be kind of tricky because you want the impression of some skin there, but you don't want it to be bright white or anything like that. That would not look right. Let's see. Okay, so now we can go back to the hair. All right, so I think we need, yeah, we need a little of our old friend yellow ochre here, because I see some brighter little areas that I want to catch with some color like that. And we're going to need to make a bold move here in a minute, which always terrifies me. I want a strand here, but yeah, that always makes me nervous. We are going to do that in a minute, but not before we get a little more blending happening. So I want to, yeah, let's get that. Okay. All right, so I want to get a little blue in here too, because we want some, I don't want gray, so I need to figure out how to do this. I want to catch some light, but okay, what about this? Okay, that's decent. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do here, I once watched a tutorial about blonde hair, and there's kind of some blonde like highlights here, but trying to mix blonde hair is multifaceted, and there's lots of different shades and the way that light catches it and all that stuff. Um, but like mixing blue with brown and trying to, and then sometimes coming in with titanium white. In this case, I think it's kind of working, but I have to be careful because I don't want it to be gray. So that raw umber mixed with ultramarine blue, that's not where I want to go. So I have to be cautious here. And I'm leaning on my burnt umber that I brought out, and that's giving me a nice looking sort of almost blonde color there, like that. And because I chose gray, the reference photo that I'm using here, I didn't mention it, but I just asked Bing AI image generator, give me a portrait of a person, just an image of a person, and I asked for strong contrast and a direct light source. And it gave me an image, and that's what I decided to go with. But what was I going to say? But I'm not sticking with the image exactly. So, like the background image that it gave me is a nature scene. Like I guess a forest is in the background or something, and that's not what I wanted to paint. That's too complicated for an hour. I guess I'm way past an hour. I'm 77 minutes, but doing a nature scene with a portrait, to me, that would be more like a 2.5 hour painting project, and that is not what I was trying to do here. So I deviated from the reference that I was given and just decided to wing it. And so winging it to me was doing sort of like this basic background, this gray background, but I should have planned a little better, because now what it's given me is gray and approaching gray, bordering on gray, which is fine. Subtlety is good, but it was not something that I planned on having happen here. So, but actually that's not bad. It could be worse. So I want to kind of bring some of this together, because I mentioned I'm not trying to paint individual strands of hair, but it is hair. I don't want it to look like she's wearing a helmet. Okay, that's not bad. There should be some light stuff here happening probably. Okay. And what else? Maybe a little situation here. Okay, so now I have dirtied that brush up again. I just keep doing that, don't I? So I'm going to go to the raw umber now. And I've grayed up all this stuff. So I want to come into here, and I want to sort of connect this. And you see, it is kind of happening here, at least. That wasn't a total loss. It is blending up here. Making the background not have too many hard edges, like soft edges all around here, is something that I really like the looks of. I don't know if it works 100% of the time as I intended, but that's okay. It doesn't have to. So let's Let's see if we can do a little more here. Since I'm not doing the, I'm not going to do the close really. Maybe I should at least touch it up. I guess as long as my phone isn't dead, I could keep going. Okay. Let's get a little more raw umber. Like this. Okay. Okay, that's not bad. It kind of looks like hair, at least. You know, I mentioned I wanted a little strand to come down, but I don't want to mess it up. It actually looks okay how it is. Okay, that's not bad. So, okay, we'll add a little little color for this shirt. Okay, so maybe I'll do, I don't know, what color should this be? Purple. Why not purple? I was having fun with purple earlier. Get some alizarin crimson, and ultramarine blue. And I'm just gonna, just to provide some, oh boy, that's really purple, huh? Okay, maybe that was too purple. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit with some raw umber. There, we'll do that. Okay, that was pretty fun. That was definitely some purple, huh? And I guess maybe it should be lighter on this side. Again, I've deviated from what I was trying to do. So yeah, we're darker here, right? And we're lighter here. So we'll lighten that same blend up a little bit. I'm gonna come over here. Let me bring a little more alizarin crimson, a little more ultramarine blue, and we'll just sort of cut it across here. Ooh, that's still really dark. Okay, we're gonna add some more titanium white. Okay. Okay, we'll do that like that. Not bad. Okay, I guess that'll work. But one thing that I need to do is I need to, I guess, go a little farther down because now this is not the bottom of the piece anymore. So we'll do that. We'll just connect it up like that. Okay, it looks kind of weird to me, but that's fine. Good enough, I suppose. Let's add a little more. Okay. Where else do we need to go? I guess we could do a little, let's come back and add a little. We didn't add any shine to the eyes, and we didn't really finish the lips either, so I guess we got a couple more things we needed to do before trying to wrap this up. Okay, so where are some brighter areas that we need to hit? Okay, so I'm gonna try this. We'll see if it works. I'm just gonna touch right here very lightly, and then very lightly right here. Did that work? It did work. I don't even think you can see it on the video, but it did work. Just very soft touch there. So I'm just kind of hitting some highlights here with titanium white to emphasize some very bright areas that I did not emphasize before. So there's another one. And I destroyed some color there. That's not great, but that's fine. Okay. And we have some there. And I'm just adding some highlights here is all I'm doing. Okay. What else do I need to do here? Okay, I guess we need to do, let's see if I can get into these lips at all without messing them up. I think it's actually not bad overall, but let's add a little color. So I've just got some cadmium red and a little, this is very bright. I think I'm gonna mess this up, but that's okay. Yeah, that's very bright. I don't think that's what I want to do. Let's do, how can we darken this up? Maybe we'll add some burnt umber. Oh yeah, that's darker. Okay, that kind of dulled it. It's a little less dramatic now. I just want to, I know there's some darker parts of this that should be here, like that. But I don't want to make it too dark. But it also shouldn't be uniform in color. And I know that there's going to be some parts here. You know, again, oh, I messed that up, didn't I? I did. Okay. I'm trying not to, you know, I saw an artist one time that was doing, they were doing a very close face study. And they were showing how they do the detail in lips. And I was amazed. It was incredible. Not using, there was like a transitional period, like a transitional area between the lip and the rest of the skin. And it looked really great. It was phenomenal. I wish I could remember who it was. It's someone I follow, but it was such a good example of like how a true pro would approach something like that. It's really cool. But just, you know, it again, that kind of speaks to the maybe not so much relying on discrete lines like I have a tendency to do. You don't necessarily need to. You can leverage subtlety. Well, I say you can leverage. I think those really experienced artists can leverage subtlety. I cannot leverage it as much yet. Hopefully someday I'll be able to. Okay, that's not too bad actually. I was a little worried that I kind of destroyed that, but it could sure be a lot worse. But I need some more. I feel like it's still too brown. Need some more red. Again, if I can do this without destroying, yeah, too dark here. And I think earlier I was complaining about losing my dark, but now, okay, that's not bad. That looks like a lip. I guess if it looks like a lip, that's a win, huh? And I see some, oops, well, that was crazy. Why did I do that? Sometimes I do stuff like that. I felt like I needed some more dark over there, and maybe I do, but boy, that was not a thoughtful move. Okay, that was not a bad move necessarily, but it's a little Well, I was talking about bold moves earlier too. I was talking about needing to do that more often. There you go. There's a bold move. And I'm just, you know, I'm realizing there's a lot of areas that I didn't finish. Like there's no color over here. I forgot to come in here and finish that out. But that's coming together, you know. So I don't know if this was you'll see sometimes like videos on social media of artists saying, trust the process. You know, like there's the ugly stage of a painting at the beginning that looks really rough, and you know, they say trust the process as it comes together. I know that this one did look rough at the beginning, as most of them do, but I think it came together. It does at least look like a human being, and that's a victory. So, yeah, trust the process. Eventually you get there. There's always going to be some rough parts of a painting, but in the end, they do come together. You just kind of, you know, I think this is just kind of general. Again, I don't know if I'm equipped to give advice, being relatively inexperienced myself, but if I could give some advice, if someone is, you know, just starting out painting or trying to learn, is to give yourself some grace and give yourself some, be patient with yourself, let yourself make some mistakes and, you know, sort of experience painting without beating yourself up, because they're not going to be perfect. You know, you're going to have some paintings that you like better than others, and you're going to have some rougher paintings that you kind of say, ah, God, I couldn't do what I wanted to. I couldn't make the brush cooperate with what I wanted it to do. You know, that happens. I would guess that happens to most artists, where they had an objective in mind or they had a plan and they just couldn't get the brush to cooperate. It wouldn't do what they wanted. Happens to me. It happened to me yesterday. I couldn't implement the idea that I had. It didn't look right when it was finished. It didn't look like what I envisioned. And you know, those things happen. Sometimes I have really good days where it's flowing and it feels good, and sometimes not as much. So happens. I think the pros, like the really experienced painters, probably experience that less than people like me. You know, like someone with 10 years of painting experience who does it for a living, they probably have some bad days here and there, but they probably more so have good days, you know, where they're able to do it. And that's their training kicking in. When they struggle on something, their training and their experience, they can leverage those things. Where someone like me maybe is less able to do that immediately. So, you know, I don't like the way this, I don't know what I did here. Yeah, that didn't look right. I didn't plan that out very well. There's another weakness for me. I don't plan paintings out very well. I really kind of messed that whole part up. That's fine. Yeah. I think that planning is good. Thinking about composition of your paintings is certainly a positive, something that I could stand to do more of. I often find myself thinking when a painting is over, why did I put the top of the head at the very top of the page? And it's totally off-centered, and not that I'm hanging up any of these, but if I wanted to, like, man, I couldn't even fit it in a frame. That happens to me way too often, and it's because I'm not planning well enough. So planning is good. If you're starting out, I didn't think about this enough when I started. I should have planned this out better, but I had hoped and planned to start this stream at a certain time, and I was actually late getting into it, so I just sort of rushed into it. But planning is good. Okay, so I guess maybe that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can do to this. My phone is still going, so um, that's good. My phone didn't die. Maybe I can work on the hair a little bit more. That's something I could do. I don't even know if there's anyone on the stream. It looks like there's not. So I could ask if anyone had any questions, but there doesn't appear to be anyone on it. So um, did I get any? I don't think I got any questions either. So, okay, well, that's all right. My understanding with these streams is that after I'm done, after I hit end on this, it will go into, like, it'll be available for people to watch, even if they didn't watch it live. So if anyone ends up checking it out, feel free to, I don't know. I don't know if you can still ask questions. If you can still ask questions, feel free to pop one in there. I'll try to keep an eye out and see if I can answer anything. I don't know if I'll be able to or not. I don't know if that's how it works. But if it does, I'm glad to do so. Actually, one of my favorite things about sharing videos is talking with people on the comment section. I just love, because I've learned a lot from it, actually. Like, when other artists will comment and say, hey, here's what I do, or yeah, I ran into that too. I actually love that. That's one of my favorite things, because it helps me learn, and I don't know, it's just a good time to me. I'm just kind of adding some accents. I don't know if this is even helping the painting or not, but all right, well, I guess that's a pretty good place to end. I could stop it there. So I ended up where, let's see, almost 100 minutes. So that's actually longer than I thought I was going to be able to go. And I think it worked. Hopefully this actually streamed and recorded properly. It says live, so I think it worked, but I hope it did. This was my first attempt. So thank you to anyone who did check this out. And I'm going to go ahead and hit end on it. So thanks for watching this painting. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll do any more of these, but it was definitely interesting. So I don't actually know how to end it though. Where's the end button? Okay, this is about to shake. I'm sorry. Uh, is there an end? Well, there's the painting. Do a little close up. I'll zoom in here. So there's the shine of the eyes that I was talking about. And oh yeah, there's my light. I don't know if that helps anyone. That's how I kind of light this painting up. And there's my palette and the brushes. See, I've just got a piece of cardboard there on top of like an IKEA drawer. That's how I roll. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so how do I end it though? I really don't know. Close. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Okay, I'm gonna hit end. Okay, thank you.